second. The story has been finished. Hello, everyone. Welcome into a live edition of the Face Turn podcast, part of the Sports Insanity Network. Noah, Patchy, and Mike with you guys tonight. And Patchy, it happened. Cody Rhodes has finished the story. He won the main event just maybe 20 minutes ago. And Cody Rhodes has beaten Roman Reigns to become the new WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. Just what are your initial thoughts?
The road has finally come to an end for Mr. Roman Reigns and his 1,316-day title reign as the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. And a new road begins for Cody Rhodes. And a new story begins as champion. It's an amazing feeling, you know. The whole match itself started off a little, lackluster, we'll go. Not boring, but a little lackluster.
It was every Roman match ever.
Every Roman, Roman's Roman. He's going to do his thing. And then, the pace slowly starts to pick up. A Superman punch is hit. Crossroads is hit. They hit each other's finishers, which is pretty cool. And then the pace picks up a little. Cody hits a couple Crossroads. Who comes in? An Uso, part of the bloodline. Who comes out? The other Uso. They take each other out. A spear off the entrance ramp. Dope spot.
Crazy spot.
And then you get Solo comes out. Who comes out to save the day? Superman himself, John Cena, comes out to save the day. Then who comes out to stop Cena? An old foe in The Rock. And then who's going to come out and stop The Rock? You can coin flip it. One side, Austin 316, since, they have history at WrestleMania, or The Undertaker. And they went with the other side of the coin. Undertaker appears because lights go out, bananas as the crowd goes, comes back up, takes out The Rock, lights go back out, he disappears. It leaves Roman and Cody in the ring. Then 3 Crossroads later, a new champion emerges. And it's just a je ne sais quoi.
Honestly, Patchy, to go off your thing, I think what would my favorite spot of this whole match, and Mike, I'll let you go in a second, but this was my favorite spot of the whole match. It's only Roman, Cody, but who's on the other side of the ring? It's Seth Rollins, who came out in Shield gear. And Roman has a chair. He doesn't swing for Cody. He hits Rollins, payback for what happened 10 years ago. And that costs Roman his need. Mike, I don't know about you, but I love that. Roman's need for revenge on Rollins was the ultimate downfall for him.
And I think the other part is, remember when the Shield music just started playing and we're like, okay, wait, what? What's going on? Who's playing the Shield?
I was like, if Moxley's coming out right now, oh my god.
Yeah, like is it the Bucks? Because the Bucks were involved in the promo. You saw the picture.
Yeah,
like what is this? What's going on? And then you see Rollins and Roman with the Superman punch, and you're right, because he was so torn on to hit Seth or to hit Cody. And he chose the revenge on Seth, which, you're right, it's such poetic justice for what had happened. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're like, back pocket Seth and Roman. Maybe next year or something. No titles. It's just personal.
Roman could be like, damn it, you keep meddling in my damn business. You've done it for the last 10 years. This has to end. And you could do like a massive, blood feud match between Roman and Rollins. But yeah, no, I thought that was such poetic justice to see Roman standing there. And it's so crazy. And it's shot so well because Roman's got the chair and you see on this side of the ring. So on the left side of the ring, you see Roman and Cody. And he looks back, Roman looks to like the center of the ring, and you're like, oh, he's going to get the weight belt. But then the camera just keeps panning, and I'm like, he's going to hit Rollins. Oh my God, he's going to get revenge. And then Cody he smacks Rollins, revenge for 10 years ago. but that leads to his downfall as Cody hits 3 crossroads to finally, like Patchy said, end the 1,316-day reign of Roman Reigns, a title he won in August of 2020. Excuse me, September of 2020. He doesn't lose it until April of 2024. I just have to say, what an, as much as we'll get to Cody in a second of the future of WWE, I just have to give massive respect to the reign, because while you could argue that it was drawn, it was too long, it was this and that, I would argue that, Patchy, this reign from Roman, it has put the company on a new pedestal. It's put this is really what brought the company into a new stratosphere, was this run from Roman.
You know, it's the exiting of Earth's atmosphere moment as we're getting off into the galaxy and the new era begins in WWE with Cody as champion. But Roman helped propel that. He helped us get through the pandemic with no crowd. He helped us transition back into having live crowds and all that. And, you know, through the ups and downs of the reign where we can bitch and moan, we'll go with. Where, you know, he should have lost it to this person. Maybe this person's going to do it. We're tired of him always having help in this title reign and all this hoopla where it should have ended last year, but Solo got involved. It's been a great reign, and it helped propel the, like you said, the company into a new era. Granted, you know, the new era began kind of before Cody won the title, when, you know, ownership and all that took over and certain people left the company.
Yep.
And, you know, it was said last night, Triple H said this, today begins a new era, a new blah, 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 blah.
And
Roman helped transition out of, I would probably say, Roman's end of reign ends, I think, the modern era. We'll go with the modern era, you know, where, and also I believe it's the end of the PG era now. Because I think we're going to slowly transition into a little TV 14 new era. Again, it's not going to be full-blown Attitude Era, but we're going to get ourselves back in a TV 14 area. They've been just throwing it at us lately with, you know, with honestly, with all the F-bombs on television lately.
Well, I mean, 99% of them are from The Rock.
Granted, 99% of them
to the referee last night was phenomenal.
We'll get to that because we'll talk about the whole show
Mm-hmm.
here in a minute. But just to keep focusing on this match, it like we said, I mean, I gave massive props to Roman because, like you said, Patchy, he was the bridge between the end of the Vince era, but he was able to adapt into Triple H's era when that shift happened and Triple H took us to a whole new level with the whole Sami Zayn thing. Then, I mean, every match that Roman's been in it's been great.
You know, it's funny because Roman has done a really good job. And they said tonight before the defense, this was his 31st defense.
31st defense.
And listen, he's not at every show, and we get it. I think the guy we kind of undervalue in this whole concept of the tribal chief is actually Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman's the guy who's out there most weeks cutting the promo, getting into a verbal spar with his opponents. Paul Heyman, and I think it was so apropos that this was the year Paul Heyman gets in. And Roman even says at the induction ceremony, there is no tribal chief without the wise man.
Paul Heyman was with Roman from day one of this.
Yeah. And Paul Heyman, he does such a great job of elevating not just Roman, not just Solo, not just the Usos, but even the opponents. Because Cody and Paul Heyman, you could tell there was such a mutual respect between the two. That's why Paul Heyman doesn't get involved in the match. He's always out there. So as great as Roman is, I think we have to take time to recognize every part of the bloodline, because we talked about significance before. You talked about significance before. I thought something was really significant during this match, and that was Solo. And Solo saying to Roman, finish him now. We've known Solo as the silent assassin of the bloodline. Him telling Roman what to do. Solo's ready to break the chains. So there's so many different directions. We were talking before we got on the air. Who could be first in line for Cody? My brain just went, oh, it could be Solo.
It could
to defend the honor of the bloodline. So, as great as the Roman run was, let's piece by piece other members of the bloodline, even the Usos, because as dumb as every match was when they get involved, it was still special. It's kind of like what the NWO was first formed, and then they just overgrew it. They didn't care, but they knew what they were doing, and the people loved them.
Yeah. No, this was a perfect end. This was the Cody Avengers Assemble moment. The only thing I would have liked is I would have liked Sammy and KO to get involved, but they came out the end, which I get. But to bring us to Cody now. What also was amazing about this match was that also kind of leads into it. It wasn't the current stars. Well, that may sound bad. It was the old guard. The old guard was all there, kind of like here's our last hurrah, basically. Except for The Rock. I don't think The Rock's done just yet.
It's passing of the torch.
But a passing of the torch. Cena's out there. Undertaker's out there. They're all getting involved because that's how big this match is. This is the future of WWE. This is setting WWE up for the next 5 years, probably. This is setting up Mania 41, Mania 42, Mania 43, and a global expansion, because the next two pay-per-views, the next 4 pay-per-views are all outside the United States. May 4th, we've got Backlash in France. Then we've got another Saudi show on the 25th. Then you've got, then you'd have Clash of the Castle in Scotland. Then Money in the Bank in Toronto. And then you finally will then have SummerSlam, which will be in Cleveland, Ohio. But then right after that, Bash at the Berlin in Germany. And Cody to be the one to take this company on that global expansion. And really, I mean, I'm curious what you thought, Mike. I'll start with you first. What did you think about the ending of Cody bringing not just Bruce Pritchard, but Triple H out?
Okay, I actually thought it was so symbolic because remember when AEW first started and Cody took the sledgehammer onto the throne, and now he's back, and Triple H started the show last night. I think it's a sign of we know now who runs the show.
Yes.
We know this isn't he who shall not be named. We even think this isn't Endeavor. This is all Triple H. This is now his playground. And I think Cody being the first quote unquote world champ under the Triple H era, I think it's a sign of, hey, this is no longer about 5 hours a week of non-stop crap. We're going to care about what we do in the ring. Egos checked, cashed out. Because think of, you bring up who came out. I also look at who was with Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, 3 other guys, Seth Rollins, 4 guys who we can all talk about as quote unquote, along with Cody, workhorses.
Yep.
Guys who haven't taken the time off, who, in Seth's case, he probably has to now, but guys
with what happened to him, the poor guy, yeah.
but based on those guys who've carried the company, they've taken the torch and they've passed it to their master, so to speak, and that's going to be Triple H.
And think about like all four of those men, even Cody, have a very special relationship with Triple H.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens was a handpicked NXT guy. So was Sami Zayn. So was Seth. Seth was, for all intents and purposes, even before Roman, they had Seth picked as the guy. He was plan B.
He was, yeah. I think the coolest thing about this moment is we talk a lot about when we talk AEW, we talk like indie darling people. I'm not saying these guys are indie darlings, but think of how they had to scratch and claw and get their way, not just into the WWE, but stay and become a fixture.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only guy out there outside of John Cena who didn't have to really do it was Orton.
Yeah.
But everyone loves Randy Orton.
Yeah.
You even had CM Punk out there.
Yeah.
He had a fake injury. He took his brace off.
He took the brace off to do something earlier in the night, but we'll get to that. Patchy, what did you think of the ending moment, like the true ending moment with Cody and Triple H in the ring with that who were surrounding them?
Absolutely perfect, because it began the new era. Triple H embraced him, said some words to him, and we began the new era with the handshake.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dusty Rhodes was a huge part of NXT as well.
He was the promo coach.
Yes,
he was the guy teaching these guys how to work a crowd, how to get people behind you, and you can tell it did their job. Kevin Owens is one of the best promos in WWE right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's just so real, and so is Sammy, and Seth is. I mean, we could talk about his entrance earlier in the night. He's just an entertainer. He knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to get them going.
He knows how to have fun.
Exactly. But yeah, this not only just this match, but this whole show really did feel like a new era, because while night 2 was much better than night 1 still was decent. So let's go ahead and let's get through the whole show really quickly, and then we can talk more about main event stuff, what have you. We'll just briefly talk about each match for maybe a minute or so, and then we'll go to the next one. We had opening up night 1 yesterday, which was Rhea Ripley defending the Women's World Championship against Becky Lynch. Rhea won to retain the Women's World Championship in a great match, I thought. Really solidifies Rhea's year-long reign, and it's like, no, Rhea is she's mommy. That's who she is, and she will continue to be so. Mike, what did you think of Rhea and Becky?
Okay, it felt a little disjointed at the beginning at times, and they kept mentioning Becky being under the weather, which I think does play a massive part. But we talk a lot about the women's revolution or women's evolution when it was Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley. Well, the divisions changed over. It really is Rhea Ripley and then everybody else.
Well, and that's what I love what Corey said, is that he said, while Becky Lynch was huge to the women's evolution, Rhea's taking it to the next level.
She really is. And remember, I think it was Pandemic Mania, Charlotte beat her in the
yes.
And then last year she gets the revenge, beats Charlotte. This year she beats Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley, for me, right now, and this isn't going to include Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley right now is the hottest thing on WWE television. You care about the promos. She's an ass kicker in the ring. Ironically enough, it's ironic because she's in Judgment. She has a little bit of Undertaker in her. The purple with the makeup, the darkness from within. It's eerie.
We'll get to it in a second, but Judgment Day had a pretty good Mania, all things considered.
Not JD McDonough.
Yeah, JD McDonough. Patchy,
we'll get to him.
What'd you think of Rhea and Becky?
I mean, great match to start the night. Motionless in White singing Ripley to the Ring, which was, from a hard rock fan, from the Patch
Mhm.
Man, and other friends out there that are pro wrestling fans that love Motionless in White. Was awesome to see. And, I think if Becky wasn't under the weather, I think they would have done a little bit more. But, sometimes when you're under the weather, you can't go as hard as they say.
I mean, when you have 102-degree fever, you're gonna have some
Yeah,
problems.
yeah, that kind of dethrones you a little bit. But,
But credit to
this was
Becky for going out there.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
this was a match that could have gone either way. Because, some people thought, oh, they're just going to give Becky the belt again. And then where does Ripley go from here? Nope. They have Ripley have her moment again. Great way to kick off the pay-per-view. And happy that Mommy still has the title.
Absolutely. So then we got into the tag team title six-way ladder match, which
Finally.
yes, finally the titles are split. It is now the Raw and the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, 8 Town Down Under, is now the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and Awesome Truth are the Raw Tag Team Champions. I don't think for much longer, but um, but we get to split the titles, and then we get two teams that, while one team's not going to hold them for long, Mike, what a moment for our Truth.
Yeah, it's a great moment, and not even just for Truth. It's a great moment for Miz as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. Truth has been feuding with Judgment Day because, let's be real honest, they kicked him out of the group for no real reason. He added greatness to it. But I think we underappreciate Miz's greatness because I'm going to try to say this without it sounding insulting. He's the perfect mid card title guy.
Yep.
Whether he needs a U.S. title run, an Intercontinental title run, now a tag team title run, we take Miz for granted. And now him and Truth get the Raw tag titles. You're right, it's not for long, but it's an acknowledgement of how great both guys have been. And for A-Town Down Under, as annoying and conceited as I think they both are. By the
Give
way,
the new team a chance.
Waller is totally the Australian version of Miz, and I don't mean that as an insult.
Right.
It's an opportunity to showcase yourself. If you remember back, I want to say it was within the last 2 years, Kevin Owens had a promo to Theory saying, "You were the hand-picked guy. Who picked you? Show us what you got." Now it's a chance for Austin Theory to say, "This is why I was a chosen guy."
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with Waller. So I look forward to them fighting against teams like Pretty Deadly, the New Catch Republic. When other teams go to SmackDown, the Profits are still around.
I think they have a really good run. This is the perfect way to get them both going, get them both on the card, get them both, in a tag team where they can feed off each other. And they have chemistry. It's clear they have chemistry.
Yeah, even if you wanted to feed them a manager who maybe didn't talk for them, but a manager to kind of like help get inside their head, I think that could really work.
Absolutely. Patchy, your thoughts on the tag title ladder match, the result?
It kind of started off, a little finicky with the entrances. Just a small gripe because you have New Catch Republic come out and A-Town Downs Titantron is still up, which was weird. And then it was cool seeing DIY come out to a tribute to DX.
That was so funny.
That was funny.
But R-Truth getting the hot tag during the ladder match, doing his homage to
he's
Cena.
The best.
It was like we knew Truth was gonna do something. We just didn't know what. And then it just gets into carnage because it turned into TLC.
It did.
It turned into a 6-man tag match, TLC match. You had a spike DDT through a table, which was awesome. You had JD McDonough falling off the mountain. We'll go. And it was a way finally to, like we said, split the tag titles. And the match stipulation was both sets of titles had to be retrieved. And you saw them hung on both separates, and it was like, finally, we're getting what everyone's been wanting for the last 2 years, and that's a split of the tag titles.
Just really quick, I thought, how funny would it have been if like A-Town Down Under grabbed the SmackDown titles and then they immediately ran over, just grabbed the Raw ones. They won both.
Well, they tried to do it.
They tried to do it. I thought, like, oh, how funny would this be? But they didn't. We got split tag titles. Great for both teams. Probably one of the teams is losing them tomorrow night on Raw, I would imagine. But we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
I honestly, you keep it on Truth and Miz for a while, and you know what? If you really want to build up the Final Testament, have AOP beat Grayson and Austin Theory.
Could do that. Could do something like that.
Well, who would you have beat Austin Truth?
If you're, tag
Creeds.
The Creeds, DIY.
I'd go Creeds for sure. Like true new era.
I kind of wish the Creeds were in the match. That's a whole nother.
Yeah, we could go on to that, but we can get to that, at a later
Also,
date.
just one notion. Tyler Bate, the airplane spin with the left.
Oh, so good. so good. All right. Now we get into a couple of matches that were just kind of meh. We get Rey and Andrade versus Santos and Dirty Dom Mysterio. I don't know if you guys want to say that about this, because this was just a filler match to get the celebrity, kind of thing. You got Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson coming in to help Rey and Andrade win. To me, it just didn't really do much. It just kind of did that. To me, the real rubber match, the real like kind of high stakes match is going to be like Backlash or something else.
Once again, this is going to build up to Rey's retirement match, and I've been saying this for a while.
I would think so.
It has to end at SummerSlam. Build it up towards SummerSlam. It's Rey versus Dom, hair versus mask. Rey loses his mask, retired.
It sucks that they're not doing a show in like Mexico at some point, because that would be the perfect place to do it.
It would be the perfect spot to do it.
Dom gets massive heat. Rey retires in Mexico. Be a place to do it. But
my only gripe with this is you should have just had Dirty Dom pin his father, because we need that to happen soon.
Mm-hmm.
We need to plant the seeds that Rey's retirement's coming. It's kind of like we're just letting Rey ride off into the sunset closer to the end.
Yeah, kind of.
You gotta build up the heels, man. I've no problem with Rey Mysterio or Johnny, but I'm kind of sick and tired of Rey winning at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Rey just feels like he's just kind of cruising at this point. It's like, what are we doing with this?
But how good did Andrade look?
Andrade looked fantastic. Andrade looked better than ever. I will give him credit. That double cross body where Rey's on Andrade's shoulders was one of the spots of the night for me.
And then the launch pad that is Joaquin Wilde or whatever.
He gets some air, man. He flies through the air. That was up there for spot of the night too, but we'll get to spot of the night here in just a few minutes, because oh my God. Up next, we had brother versus brother. We had Jimmy versus Jey Uso. I'm not going to lie, Mike. If it wasn't for their involvement in the main event a few minutes ago, I would be much downer on this, because their involvement in that and their one spot in that match saved a lot of their stuff from the weekend.
Yeah, the match for me, it was so underwhelming. It felt like it was just super kick after super kick after super kick. It was like, well, I kind of wanted Solo to get involved, because we're talking brother versus brother. Solo's their brother too.
Where's Rikishi?
Right.
Exactly.
This whole thing just felt like, okay, we're going to throw you guys a bone because you wanted this match for so long. And the buildup has been
lackluster
because Jimmy screwed Jey twice, but Jay's really never gotten the revenge.
And then Jey just wins.
Yeah, it just felt random. It was underwhelming.
Yeah, I really felt it.
This unfortunately falls under, we've had 3 brother versus brother matches and only one still stands the test of time. The second one was all right. It made up for it with the I Quit match. Now this has to lead to, I feel, another I Quit match because this one was just a letdown. And you know what? This is where you throw Rikishi in. You have
Hopefully.
Rikishi be the referee to say, "All right, boy, do you quit?"
Yeah.
And
It's
then
got to
just
lead to
end.
something because that
It's
that
got it
did
has it just has to lead to
that's what my
something.
problem with the Mets was, is that it felt like, oh, they're just holding back. They're not going hog wild and doing all the crazy spots that we thought we'd see from brother versus brother, but hopefully that's down the line, to do something bigger with the two of them. But yeah, this match was, yeah, it was kind of underwhelming. It wasn't terrible, but it was just super kick heavy. They try to do this really conflicted moment where Jimmy begs off Jay and Jay takes his hand up. It's like, Jay, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Like, yeah, he's gonna turn after like 5 seconds. It's like, yeah, it was not that good. Probably weakest match of the whole weekend. And very unfortunately, and I hate to say that because it's brother versus brother. This should have meant a lot more. But thankfully, their involvement in the main event of night two not elevated the match, but it made up for. It's like, okay, they actually did something important this weekend. But that leads into the next match, which I don't know about you guys, but like I said, but I think this did exactly what it needed to do. Damage Control took on Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. This was just to protect Jade Cargill, introduce Jade Cargill to everybody, show that she's improving. Damage Control were on the card. Jade Cargill and Team One. It's like, it's just done and done. I mean, I don't really think there's much more to say about it.
It just showcases, like you said, showcases Jay Cargill, shows her what she can do in the ring. And unfortunately, you don't have one of your tag team champions be pinned. You have Dakota eat the pin, and I'm all right with that. I guess a little. I wish like she could have pinned Kyrie instead. Because I like Dakota Kai, and I think Dakota Kai should be used more. Granted, she blew out her knee last year, which set her back. But this was just a match that it was like, all right, it was there. You know what? I think you could have put this a little higher up. Like you could have done, you could have gone back to back women's matches, and thrown in the tag match a little bit, not tag match, the tag title match later. It was just I think they put it in an awkward spot. If anything, you flip it with the Usos, you put them fourth, and then you put the Usos fifth. You flip flop them in the match card.
Yeah,
It was an all right match. I didn't
it wasn't
really care.
bad. It was just.
It wasn't bad.
It's what exactly you thought it was.
Yeah.
So, Mike, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, not really. Because it feels for me like my biggest complaint with Damage Control with Bailey was they never win a big match. Case in point.
You
knew this was the slam dunk of WrestleMania.
Yeah, this was the easiest one to pick. But then, we get Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship as your co-main event of night one. We start off on a great note. Sammy is backstage, and I love these one shots that WWE started to do. They do this one shot of Sammy meets his family, and his daughter, his kids are so cute, and they're just like, "Oh, are they gonna play your music now?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna play my music now." And he walks up the stage. He walks past Chad Gable. He says, "Hey, you're going out of there alone." And Sammy's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" I thought after all this training, and Gable goes, "No, you could do this the whole entire time. You just need someone to tell you that." And then I love how they planned the seeds. But hey, you owe me one, or you owe me a favor, basically.
Yep.
Sammy walks up the ramp, and then he meets Kevin Owens right before he goes out to the curtain, and Kevin Owens just fires him up, says, "Go, do this, do it now." Sami Zayn comes out, and then him and Gunther just put out an amazing 16-minute match. I mean, up until I still might say this could be my match of the weekend. I don't know about you. I'll give you your chance, Mike, but I absolutely adored this match.
It was great. I think I said it when we did predictions, but I said it last night as they built up the Sammy's family and then the Gable thing, and I said they made him freaking Rocky.
They did.
In Philadelphia, Sami Zayn got the Rocky story.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fantastic match. Listen, the sky for me, if Gunther is not a world champion by the end of this year, we're going to have fighting where it's
I
true.
mean, I'm telling you right now, Bash at the Berlin, he's winning one of them.
He has to. He's so freaking good.
He is the best.
But this match for me, and the reason why I'm a little bit more critical of it, this is why it should have been Sammy versus Seth, or Sammy versus Drew versus Seth, because the if Sami Zayn won the world heavyweight title, that would have been like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and not collapsing down the stretch.
Just a real quick idea. What if Gunther wins the world heavyweight title by Bash at the Berlin, and then next year it's the rematch Sammy versus Gunther for the world heavyweight title?
Go for it. I have no
That
problem.
would be fun. I think that'd be pretty fun. But like just so many great things in this match. You know, we get the class. It's so good because they didn't need to tell you anything, and they showed you what this match was. Gunther, dominant champion, just stands there staring at Sammy while Sammy's like the moving around, trying to be quick, trying to be the underdog. And they go back and forth. They do this so many hope spots for Sammy, but he's chopped down by Gunther. Eventually, we get spot of the weekend for me. A brainbuster on the top rope from Sami Zayn to Gunther. 2 Aluva kicks. Sammy pins to win the Intercontinental Championship. This match was so good. It was so good. Patchy, what were your thoughts on it?
You know, it was the simple storytelling, just like in any Rocky movie, Rocky gets knocked down. All of a sudden, Rocky fights back, and a pivotal moment happens where a brainbuster occurs on the top rope, which I think nobody saw coming.
I didn't expect it.
And everyone lost their collective, you know what? And like you said, 2 Helluva kicks later, Sami Zayn's the IC champion. Sammy has another WrestleMania moment. I'm all right with it as long as Gunther goes on to win Money in the Bank or goes on to win the world title in Berlin.
Yeah, I think Money in the Bank's not good enough for him. I think he needs to just win the title because he's a wrestler. That's what he is. I don't think he does. Or if he's going to do it, win Money in the Bank and then cash in beforehand for Bash of the Berlin. And that's
no, have him cash in Berlin. You want the crowd to go bananas? Have him cash in Berlin after a world title match.
But that goes against his character. That goes against who he is. He's a wrestler. He wants to just beat you fair and square. He's like, no, I don't want to do it cheap way. I want to just beat the heck out of you.
So what he could do is he could do what RVD did.
That's what I'm saying.
Cash in and announce he's going to get the shot at
I'm cashing this in right now at Bash in the Berlin. Make the match official. I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank to make that match official. It's whoever the world champion is.
It's very simple. He comes out, says at Bash of the Berlin, whoever is the world heavyweight champion in the main event, it will be me versus you. Whoever is the champion, watch your back or get ready.
Again, that goes against his character, I think, but we'll digress on that later. Sami Zayn's the Intercontinental Champion. I thought this match was fantastic, which gets us into the main event of night 1, which we won't spend too much time on because obviously it just led into the main event of night 2. But which I did love about this match, which was Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus Roman and Rock in a tag team match, set stipulation for the night 2 main event. What I love about this match, because it was pretty much what you expected. It was them going back and forth. Then basically what happened last year happens again. Cody gets screwed out of the match and Rock pins him and all that stuff. But I will say, Mike, what I loved about, I think you mentioned this earlier, was the reason that the match devolved into just a fight. It didn't need to be anything spectacular. It was just Rock going to the referee. You count or you disqualify either of us, you're fired. So
yeah, he threw his weight around because he's a part of the board now.
Yep.
But the other part is, what's the moniker? He's the final boss. So he could do what he wants whenever he wants. And the other part that I kind of really enjoyed about this match, more so than other main events and stuff like that. It was just straight up Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth.
Yep.
There was no Solo. There were no Usos. It was straight up. The only problem I have, and I love the guy dearly, Pat McAfee was just worshiping the ground they walked on.
Yeah, it was like, okay, Pat, we get it. Like,
And I love Pat McAfee. And I know he's playing a role, but to me, it was just like a little.
it was a little over the top. It really was a little over the top for me. And
also, by the way, Michael Cole, it was like 40 degrees and you're complaining about it being cold. If you're that cold, wear a coat.
yeah, but I think another thing that was great about the match was, and it goes off that Rock thing, was Rock at one point just pulls Seth's legs apart and punches him right in the nether regions.
Yeah.
And the ref's first response is to go over and apologize to Cody.
Yeah,
because he's
Michael
like,
Cole acknowledges he goes to Cody Rhodes.
He's like, I'm sorry, man.
I can't do
anything.
nothing.
I can't do anything. I need this job. He's gonna fire me if I do anything. I gotta let him do what he wants. So it just became bloodline rules.
But he also let Seth and Cody do what they want.
Yeah, he's like that. That's kind of his revenge. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, Rock, I'm supposed to do whatever you want. Okay, cool. I'm gonna let them do whatever they want.
Exactly.
So, Patchy, what do you think of the night one main event?
Worth it. You know, you knew it was going to be Bloodline Rules, actually. Rethinking it, you knew it was going to be Bloodline Rules because they're going to go all out for this. And, to see, Rock pull his weight and tell the ref, once again, if you count us out or, you DQ us, you're fired. And then he just drops in the vicinity again. Rock using a lot of F words lately, which totally fine by me, brings that little je ne sais quoi to everything. And just to see Rocco at Cody's mother too.
Oh, so good.
It was just, we forget how great The Rock is. And granted, he was out of the ring for 8 months, but the dude can still go at 50.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was the one to pin Cody was even better. It just made the story make sense.
Well, and it sets up down the line Cody Rock, possibly.
Yeah. Cody Rock, possibly. And
you still have that match in your back pocket.
And then, it gets honestly, Rock pinning Cody makes the internet stir because now they're like, what are they going to do tomorrow night? Are they really going to do this again to us? And then, honestly, if Roman won again, the internet was imploding and Philly's and everyone's getting hurt in Philly because there would have been a riot.
Probably. But yeah, tag team match was great. I think it put Seth on a bigger pedestal, but really fed into his match, which was the opening match of night one. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. A lot to talk about in this match. I don't know about you guys. I got so caught off by the first Claymore. I thought they were going to Daniel Bryan this whole thing. Like Seth comes out, he's like super wobbly because he just went through a war the night before. And second the bell rings, Drew McIntyre hits a Claymore, and I'm like, no way. Are they just gonna do this? But he didn't. They go and have a great match. A fantastic match. They just hit their biggest hits at each other. They go to the outside. Drew McIntyre tries to do a powerbomb, but he gets countered into a pedigree. Goes back into the ring, hits a stomp on Drew. Drew kicks out. They go back and forth with some stuff there. CM Punk's obviously at ringside doing commentary. Drew hits a Claymore. Seth kicks out. Drew hits a what is it? Future Shock.
Future Shock.
And I loved the part where they would go, Punk, that's the move that injured you. And Punk's like, yeah, I know it. It's not a fun move to take. That kind of stuff really brought that real element into this whole thing. But Seth kicks out of that. Then Seth hits a pedigree stop combo. Drew kicks out of that. But then at the end, second only to what we'll get into in a minute, what I loved about this match was, Mike, at the end, it wasn't about, we knew, after that first Claymore, because Drew hit 3 Claymores at the end to win. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about Drew's not going to win. It was about just how much Seth has given to this World Heavyweight Championship. And now he's like, no, you are going to have to kill me to take it from me.
And that's been the vibes of Seth Rollins. It's realistically his whole career. You have to kill him to take a title away from him because that's who he is. And we can say what we want about the Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth thing, because I think they mentioned it last night where Seth felt like he was the fourth fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew was like, "No, you focus on me. You have to focus on me. That's the match." And it just felt like Seth was focused. That match had no business being as good as it was because with Seth being how banged up he is.
It was because Drew was unfocused.
Right. And that turned out to be the downfall.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Drew. But there was one spot that really kind of bothered me when he nails the stomp on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then he throws him in and Drew's right back up. It was like, all right, come on. You can give him a second to recover. Or he kicks out. Instead, he's right up and then nails a claymore.
Yeah, because even if it was like a double down, I've been okay with that. Like he just got like this surge of momentum and just bam, like, into one claymore. And then it's just like, oh God, I'm, out for a couple of seconds. But yeah, I do admit that was a little bit.
That was the only thing. But I will say this, Seth Rollins, the outfits did not disappoint this
Oh
week.
my God, I love the outfits and the band and everything was so good.
Tonight
So
is
good.
Inner Adam Rose.
Oh yeah.
All the people.
All right, Patchy. Like I said, we'll get into what happens after the match, but what do you think about the match itself?
Match itself, perfect. Drew McIntyre has his moment finally in front of a live crowd to win a world championship. I'll leave it at that. Love the match.
But then Drew McIntyre gets into his own head, gets in his own way, because he goes outside after celebrating his World Heavyweight Championship victory, and he gets right in CM Punk's face. He gets on the table, tells him to suck it, as everyone does, I feel like these days. And that's when Punk snaps. He trips McIntyre on the table. McIntyre falls, really, really hurt. Punk hits him with his brace a couple of times. He starts stomping away at Drew McIntyre. He blows a kiss to Drew McIntyre's wife. And the second he does that, Damian Priest's music hits. He comes out. He finally cashes in Money in the Bank. And we have a new world heavyweight champion. Damian Priest of the Judgment Day is finally the world heavyweight champion after cashing in successfully on Drew McIntyre. Patchy, I thought this was so perfect because it was Drew. Drew, this whole time, has been telling Seth, your obsession with The Rock, your obsession with trying to defend this title is going to be your downfall. But in the end, it was Drew's obsession with Punk that ultimately cost him.
First off, we got to tip our hat to Seth Rollins for a little acknowledgement to Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. You saw him say to him, "You flip-flopping deserve this."
Yep.
And Drew McIntyre braces the crowd, blah, 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 braces his wife, his friend. And ironically enough, we go to past beef, where a story has evolved yet again, where Drew McIntyre gets into with Punk. You really can't hear what Drew is saying to Punk. Punk's like, "I can't hear you. I have headset, blah, blah." Punk's being Punk. And whatever Drew said, Drew said, we'll go quotation, set Punk off. And what you say, again, side sweeps him, hits him with his brace. Maybe Punk is now healed and now we're getting ready for something. We don't know. We'll see where the story goes there. And like you say, you see it, the kiss. And then Damian Priest music's hit, South of Heaven's choke slam, and Damian Priest pulls off a heist, ironically enough, what Seth Rollins was involved with post. So, and, Judgment Day rebounds after, only Ripley winning night one. And now Damian Priest is your world heavyweight champion. And they practically now run Monday Night Raw because they have the two main belts.
Pretty much.
And it's just perfect storytelling because now you're going to have a pissed off Drew McIntyre wanting to go back after the world title with Damian Priest. Will be a great match aside of itself. But now CM Punk has to watch his back
See, that's what I'm saying. Does he go after Priest or does he just become super obsessed with Punk?
As long as they turn into a stalker gimmick with DDP and Undertaker, we're fine.
Might be too late.
Might be too late.
All right, AJ Lee's confirmed to come back. There we go.
Mike, your thoughts?
I think the other thing, Punk can, when Priest cuts his promo tomorrow night talking about winning the title, Punk can come out and go, "You didn't win that without my help. I should be first in line." We might get a triple threat match, which might then lead into the Punk and Drew stuff.
Maybe.
And the other part for me is this, and you said no, I think in our other chat. What's Drew's contractual status?
They say he's re-signed, but I don't know. He said he hasn't.
So it's kind of a he said kind of deal.
Yeah.
But like that was my first thought, was like, all right, Priest cash is in. Drew might be gone by the summer because we got to get a payoff here with him and Punk.
Yeah.
That is mandatory.
Yeah, basically. So,
But,
his
got his
contract
moment,
status
then
is
Damian
interesting.
Priest got his moment.
Yeah, glad Priest finally got his moment. Kind of rebound after the kind of lull they've been on since Survivor Series and losing the War Games match. But yeah, big rebound here. He's World Heavyweight Champion. Great for Damian Priest. I'm so happy for him because he was a guy that once he came into NXT, I was like, that guy's a world champion. Like, he's so good.
I don't want to lose sight of this also, because I think there's another guy in Judgment Day who also deserves a run as world champion at some point. JD McDonough.
Yeah, JD McDonough.
You're not even a part of the Judgment Day, bro.
Dominic Mysterio.
He will at some point, but that's probably later down the line. But
he gets booed out of every building. Come on.
yeah,
Imagine him winning the world title. Fuck, that building will burn down.
Yep. That leads
That'll
into
be like
the next...
Vancouver after the 2011 Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, you gotta go back from history for that. But that leads into the next match, which was a Philadelphia Street Fight, and that was the Pride versus the Final Testament. Bubba Ray Dudley was your special guest referee while Snoop Dogg was doing commentary. They did not take this match seriously. This was supposed to be a fun, entertaining brawl, and I think, Mike, that's what it was. It was way better than it had any right to be, but it was just fun and entertaining.
Yeah, listen, I give both teams credit because you're coming off of what just happened.
Yeah.
And you got to put on a pretty good match. Snoop Dogg on commentary was one of one.
I originally was bad on it, but then I watched, I like listened to some of the stuff again. I was like, oh no, that's actually really funny.
But I think the Bubba Ray Dudley part is a really nice touch because of Philadelphia and what it is, symbolic of ECW. Listen, it was fine. I really want two things out of this. Let Cross and Lashley go their separate ways and let them both wreak havoc.
Yeah, definitely. Patchy, what'd you think?
It could have been better, but it had its moments where, it was all right. You had, heck, you had B-Fab and Scarlett get into it. And, you had B-Fab put Scarlett through a table. Okay, I'm all right with that. Get the women involved. Have the women go extreme for a little bit. And then, you have the what's up. And then, you have them trying to set up a table.
It breaks.
It breaks. And then the crowd's like, oh, and then, they're like, all right, hang on. We got the backup plan. Get another table out, get the crowd back into it. It you know what? It served its purpose. I'm upset that the Final Testament didn't win here, but I can't be happy about everything, I guess. But
it could have been way worse, but it
could have been way worse. Having Bubba there as special guest referee saved it. I was all right with Snoop Dogg on commentary. I think he didn't need to be there on commentary, but I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll roll with it.
Yeah, 100%. Which then led into the next match, which was LA Knight versus AJ Styles. LA Knight gets the win after a hard-fought match. Yeah. This was LA Knight's best match. And, for it to be against AJ Styles gets a brand new theme song, which I digged a lot. I thought it was a solid match.
You know what? People say that LA Knight's momentum is dead. It's not.
No. Is it down a little bit? Yeah.
It's down a little bit, yeah. But you know what? That crowd when he went L.A. Knight, yeah, you heard it. You heard the yeah chants throughout the arena. And you know what? Give it you know what? Give me L.A. Knight to beat Logan Paul for the U.S. title down the road. Because if you really want to build up LA Knight as a top star, give him the United States title. And you know what? Have him be the one to beat Logan Paul because everyone would be happy with it. Rifkin.
To that point, I would say either LA Knight's the US champ or he's the Money in the Bank winner. I think those are the two spots would like to see him in. I got to give flowers to AJ.
He was
AJ
great.
Styles is still so damn good.
I think he's a perfect guy to be if you want like a good match for your first title defense. I think he's a perfect challenger for Cody.
I know I'm going to sound redundant because I just said I would like Balor to get another title. I would not be upset if AJ Styles got another title. I don't care if it's the world title. I don't care if it's the Intercontinental. I don't care if he gets the US title. AJ Styles is just so damn good in the ring.
Yeah, he is. He is phenomenal. Pun intended. Led into
always intended, Noah. They are never not intended.
That led into the next match, which was the triple threat for the U.S. Championship. Logan Paul defended against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Again, just another fun match. This was a fun triple threat match. Orton and Owens double teaming Logan at the start. Then it breaks down. The golf cart entrance was amazing.
Oh my god, that was
the
great
truck entrance.
The best entrance of the night.
Yeah, you had a prime bottle at ringside. Orton hits a pop-up RKO, which I don't think I would have ever expected to see that. Owens went for a pump-up powerbomb, but Orton countered into a massive RKO, which, damn, that was a great RKO. But then Paul hits a frog splash off that and does retain the U.S. Championship with help from iShowSpeed, who is another big YouTuber. And, I know a lot of people might complain about it, but hey, I'm sure as part of the deal of him being able to be at WrestleMania, he's gonna promote it on his YouTube channel, which has, I'll check in a second, but I'm sure it's got over a few million followers, so it's just more exposure.
My one issue, the match, not big on the whole prime bottle logo on the ring.
I will say the color change helped a lot.
Oh, the color change helped. I'm just not big on, but now this was fun. Randy Orton is still so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Randy Orton still looks like the guy who came into Evolution.
Yeah.
Like that. Like we can argue about who's had the better career, Orton versus Cena, just because of how they came out. The answer now for me, because he's been so consistent, it's Orton.
It might be Orton. He's got definitely a big, claim for that.
Listen, Kevin Owens is just phenomenal. The ODCW with the entrance, the golf cart.
So good. How he's just like how he like backs it up.
Backs it up for Orton.
It's so good. So
Orton's just like, all right,
yeah, fine. So just to say, iShowSpeed has 23.5 million subscribers. So that's exposure.
Speaking of exposure, a little bit of breaking news. The Pat McAfee show tomorrow, live from WWE World, will have special guest John Cena at 1:00.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
My thoughts real quick. The only thing missing from the golf cart entrance was Orton going like this down the whole way. It would have been perfect.
Kevin Owens was booking it though.
Oh yeah, he was booking. Orton's like, all right, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
But what was really funny was just them beating down Logan Paul, and then Orton goes to RKO, KO pushes him off, and he's like, "Are we really gonna do this right now?" And then KO's like, all right, fine, let's go. And then they just start beating the tar at each other. It was
I loved the crowd. The crowd was much better on night 2 than it was on night 1.
well,
Now,
I think weather had to play factor in that.
cold probably had a factor because cold weather, it does make people like, tense up and you're not gonna be as energetic as you would be. But no, I loved the part where right after that, Patchy, where he goes to RKO, but the crowd just goes, "You effed up, you effed up, you effed up." It's like, oh, it's like, yep, or you effed
The
up.
other part I really loved was Orton takes the brass knucks and he just hands it to the ref.
Because he's about to do the punt. Because he's like, nah,
Yeah.
I got something even
Oh
better
my
than
God.
brass knuckles.
He should have brought back the punt.
He tried to, but
I know he
Snitsky
did.
would have been proud.
Yeah, he would.
Snitsky would have been proud.
All right.
Shout out Snitsky.
So the last match we have to talk about before we can talk about a couple more things before we go off is, of course, Bailey versus Io Sky for the women's championship. Great entrances all around. I loved Io's entrance, but I loved Bailey's entrance. So like Egyptian god kind of aesthetic, the role model. I loved it. New theme for Bailey, which I didn't notice until after the entrance had ended, but great new theme for her. Bailey's your new women's champion. Great match all around. It was back and forth. Io really targeting the leg the whole match, trying to get Bailey off her game, but Bailey just keeps fighting back. Eventually hits a suplex, followed by a top rope elbow drop, followed by the Rose Plant, and we have a new women's champion. Bailey is the new women's champion. What I really loved about this match was there was no interference from Damage Control. It was Bailey, it was Io one-on-one. But now, Mike, what I think is interesting, now that when they get the rematch, then Io's going to be like, nah, no, I'm not playing fair anymore.
Well, and that was the thing that caught me by surprise. I was like, wait, we're Damage Control's just not showing up at all. They're going to just make the entrance and then walk back. It was, and they never made mention of them being banned from ringside or anything.
No, there's no mention of it.
I think this goes into a deeper thing of like, because the whole story was the past couple of weeks, Bailey has no friends. So if Damage Control does get involved, who's got Bailey's back?
Yeah, I will say maybe that's in the rematch.
Right. So that was kind of weird, but it was a great match. I thought when Bailey nailed the little suicide dive through the bottom rope, I was like, okay, that's a little different. We don't see that out of Bailey.
Bailey doesn't usually do a suicide dive.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, here we go. And then Io Sky hits that flawless moonsault.
Oh, so good.
Like,
her and Tiffany Stratton just need to have a match just to see who has the best moonsault.
And then, by the way, in the triple threat match, Kevin Owens nailed a great moonsault.
He did hit a great moonsault.
I was like, oh my. So yeah, Io is so good. She'll have another run, but good for Bailey in her first Mania singles match, which
this was her first Mania singles match, which is nuts to think about. Patchy, what do you think of this?
Perfect. Bailey has her moment. I just wish she came out to her old music. I think it would have been fitting to bring back the Bailey Buddies for one night only. Because the crowd was behind her all night throughout that match. You heard it. Hey, Bailey, I want to know if you want to be my girl. It was practically the whole match. I think it only stopped for like 2 minutes, but you heard it throughout the whole night. Not the whole night, the whole match. That the people wanted Bailey to have her moment finally at WrestleMania. Like first ever singles match for the women's title. She finally, finally gets her flowers and has herself her moment by herself. Doesn't have to share it with anybody.
Yeah, she wins the title and really sets up the line for the rematch where Damage Control gets involved. Maybe that's when Bailey gets her friends back. I think that'll be a very interesting story down the line. Then, of course, we got to the main event, which we have talked about at length. But, I mean, there was just so much in this match. There was so much in Cody Roman 2. I think it really built off the previous year, built off of also talk about a night of entrances. Oh, Cody's entrance was great with the skull mask and kind of like the kind of rising from the ashes, symbolically rising from last year's Mania to come back and take one more shot at this. But then Roman gets this new version of his theme played by a live band, which it wasn't really live, but it's this brand new orchestral theme. So good. It was so good. Really just made Roman look like, put him back on the pedestal. But Yeah, no, it was a fantastic ending to Mania. We got what we needed. We got what we needed and what we wanted. Cody Rhodes is the new WWE Universal Champion, ending the historic reign of Roman Reigns. It's exactly what it needed to be. We had the Avengers Assemble and the Bloodline basically all met their match because of Jay, because of Cena, because of Taker. They met their match, and it was a perfect ending to a really, really fun weekend.
This had to be the result, especially
Yeah.
after what happened Saturday night. This had to be the result. And listen, listen, we could say everyone had a backstory here, except for one guy. That's the Undertaker, but he doesn't need a backstory for anything. He's the freaking
Yeah.
Undertaker. I think my favorite part of this match was when Cody goes to grab the table.
And
Roman just says, "Nope, we're not."
He
doing
slides
that.
it back under.
We ain't going this route, my guy.
Yeah,
that was phenomenal. But
it was really, really fun. But yeah, just a great match all around. Should Cody have won last year? That'll be debated, I think, for a long time. But this at least mitigated a lot of the backlash. Because I remember, Mike, you and I came on here last year after 39. We were mad because it was like, what was the point of that? We got to do another year of this. We got to do this and all this. But this, at least, The Rock coming back actually added some new life into this whole thing, made it at least somewhat worth it. Some people will obviously have their debates for, it'll be like the Austin heel turn. It'll be debated for years to come. Should Cody have won at 39, or was 40 match worth it?
I think the issue with and you're right, we were really pissed off last year because it was like, why did we go through all this and now we have to wait a year? The hard times promo. What was Cody's last year filled with? What were the obstacles? Brock, obstacle. Everything to do with the Judgment Day, obstacle.
The Rumble,
obstacle. And he gets to legitimately, he gets the finish line, and then The Rock becomes the biggest obstacle.
Just when you think the obstacles are over, in comes The Rock. It's like, oh no.
And he's able to achieve what he needed to achieve, and he's the new champ. And I'm very curious about how this run is going to work.
Me too.
Because he was not the world champion in AEW, but he was a hell of a TNT champion.
Yeah, he was. He really was. Patchy, what are your final thoughts for this before we go off?
Like Cody to tell his story now. And you know what? It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun ride now because day one begins tomorrow as champion. Actually, day one has begun right now here on the East Coast for Cody Rhodes as champion, as it is 12:02 a.m. here on the East Coast. And it's going to be a fun ride. I'll leave it with that. One quick note, just to retract to Logan Paul. People were chanting Gatorade during that match, which was hilarious.
Oh, yes, I do remember that chanting. That was really funny.
And does Roman come out tomorrow night?
I think he does.
While Cody's cutting the promo. And what does he ask for a rematch, or does he say,
I think we get
I acknowledge you?
I think we get the start of the Roman redemption arc. He comes out. You know what? And I'll go this far. There is not a word exchanged. It's just Roman comes out, offers up a hand. That's it. That is all that needs to happen. No words, no nothing. And now Roman can go deal with the bloodline, because I'm sure something's going to happen with them.
I say handshake. They shake hands, and then Cody puts up the one to acknowledge him.
That would be nice.
But instead of acknowledging him, he just flips him off.
He goes, where's the blur? Where's the blur on my screen? There we go.
I think there needs to be, because Cody's always been that. He's always been about respect. It needs to be a respectful thing. If Roman's going to show him respect, he's got to show him respect. I would love that to be that. But we'll leave it at that. We'll do an episode on Friday recapping the whole week after WrestleMania, but that's going to do it for our WrestleMania 40 recap here on the Face Turn podcast, part of the Sports Insanity Network. Thank you all for listening tonight. Make sure to check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trades, and automobiles. And for Mike and Patchy, I'm Noah. Thank you so much.